Welcome to the hottest real estate topics on the planet, keeping you up to date with all the creative ways to buy and sell real estate without bank qualifying, so anyone can build real income starting today. Here is another great show with Dealmaker Bill and Pete the Rookie.
All right.
Boom.
Emma, deal with that. Here we are at another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies. You hear my voice cracking?
With Crazy Bill.
Huh? I'm going to be on The Voice pretty soon. After that one.
Bill, you'll be the announcer, though.
They're going to call and they're going to invite me once they hear that one.
Announcer.
Okay.
All right.
Episode number 138.
Yeah, you might be the voice because you just missed a show that you really should have been on, The Masked Singer.
Yeah. I definitely missed it. It was not an accident. I come home at 10:30 at night last night, and my wife watches it, and I just walk right on past her and say, "Good night, sweetheart." I don't even sit down, no conversation, no nothing. Not interested.
Yeah, well, you're lucky. Mine's in the bedroom, so I'm stuck.
Episode number 138. Devastating. Rehab and retail. 11 tips reveal the ugly truth.
Just 11?
11.
Just 11.
11.
All right. 11, that's enough.
Actually, the title's a little misleading, but we'll carry on. Not me. Would I hype up a title?
You?
No.
That's in your blood.
Remember I did it at a meetup.
What?
I would never, I don't lie. I don't believe in it. Honestly, you know that.
Oh, absolutely not.
But I will definitely hype something up.
You will
definitely hype something up. I am a marketing guy.
Yes, but you'll get things done,
Yeah.
and actually nobody is harmed by it. Actually, everybody's helped by it.
Yeah.
Because you know what? You people, you need to get your ass kicked once in a while.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It's a shame for you not to make good money when working with real estate. This is the description. Buying houses low and selling them high is called retailing. This is the most easily understood method of investing in real estate because of the countless books, tapes. I said tapes. Emma told me that I'm too old. It's not tapes, they're CDs, and now I guess USB drives.
I have a way around all of that, William.
Yeah.
Call them lectures.
There you go. All right. So this is the most easily understood methods of investing in real estate because of the countless books, tapes, and national TV reality shows.
This reality show? Sorry.
But if you plan to do this consistently, where you have a monthly income or produce, my attention wandered, or you want to replace your current income, then this podcast is for you. A lot of satisfaction comes from rehabbing once you learn it. Once you learn it, that's the trick.
Once. How about twice, 3 times, 12?
My guess is if you had a choice to do it the easy way or the hard way, you would want the easy way, which I think is the pretty house business. But if you can't resist the urge to buy, renovate, and get one big check, then this episode is going to be like amazing for you. Because we're going to go over the 11 tips that will help you make the most money so you don't get in trouble. So are you ready?
Ready.
Okay.
Ready, Steve.
Here we go, Peter. Let me get the page turned here. So here's what we know about rehab retail so far. Right? Get rid of my phone. So you have to find a distressed property, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And distressed means ugly.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be dilapidated, but as soon as it's 20 years down the road, you got to redo it.
Right. So my wife preaches to me all the time that what you have to do is you have to find a ugly house in a pretty neighborhood. So not to pick on my wife or her intelligence or anything like that, but if my wife knows that, because she doesn't know about anything that we do, right? If my wife knows that, what does that mean?
That means that everybody thinks that.
Right. Because my wife is definitely, got that herd mentality. I mean, she gets her information from the reality TV shows because that's what she watches, right? 2, buy the house, and it's usually expensive for the money when you do that, right? So when you're buying houses, the money is expensive.
You mean to borrow?
Yeah.
Yeah, the borrowed money.
Yeah, it's usually 12, 13% interest, and it's, 2 or 3 points, which is a fee to borrow the money.
Upfront interest paid in the beginning, in full.
Then 3, you fix the house, and let me tell you something. You have not been initiated into the real estate investing club until you have to babysit the contractor. I'm telling you point blank, there is no other way for me to teach this to you.
Bill?
What?
I'm on my 3rd contractor on a tiny condo job.
Yep.
The first 2 never even returned.
It's like less than a couple $1,000s, right?
Yeah, it's just clean it up, do this, that, nothing big. My painter shows up, my brother-in-law, he's fine, but the other guys, 2 didn't show up after the first meeting 2 weeks later. So I got another guy shows up the next day and hasn't answered the phone in 10 days. So I'm on my 3rd guy after this. We're often...
You're not going to be able to answer this question, but let me ask you this.
I'll try, Bill.
What are the 2 words that you have said in your life that cost you the most amount of money?
Not me! No, I'm sorry, what?
I do. I do. What are the 2 words that cost you the most amount of money? I
don't.
Yeah. That's when you got married, right? Well, this is what it's like when you have contractors. Because when you say, yes, do the job, you just assumed all of their problems.
And you assume they're going to actually show up and try to do it so they get paid and stuff.
No, you misunderstood me.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about your expectations.
Yeah.
What happened, this is like taking on a child. Like,
oh, yeah.
It's like all of a sudden their drinking problems and their girlfriend problems.
We can't make it. I got a tire problem.
Yeah.
The rim flow. Yeah.
So unless you've been through
I have
that,
to go help my brother-in-law.
you really don't get what we're talking
My
about.
water heater broke.
Exactly.
My cat ate the homework. Oh, wrong excuse.
Honest to God, you say that? Honest to God, I kid you not. In the last month, I've had 3 people tell me their radiator broke. All right, number 4.
So, Bill, is there a list someplace that these guys have?
Yeah, exactly. Their indoctrination is definitely coordinated. So the last one is to sell the house, and I added for 1 profit. Okay? So now before we get going, I've done many rehabs. You know that. We've done several together. Okay? And I still do them. I mean, I'm not doing them right now for my own reasons, which are, economy related, but I've done a lot of them and I still do them. So I want people to understand that even though I talk negatively about it, I still do it because it's still money.
Right. No, but your point is don't make your whole business model centered around that because sometimes it's just the wrong time in the economy to do it. Or you're missing tons and tons of deals because you only do that.
Right.
But it's a balance. Like if it's really the right thing to do and you want to, go ahead. Right. But don't neglect the other things that are sitting in front of your face that you walk out and don't get the deals.
Right. At this particular point, our listeners should have heard enough of our podcast to realize that we cast a net and whatever comes in, we decide whether we want it or not.
Right. And you don't decide what you're going to do. Oh, I think I'll do wholesale. Well, what if there isn't a wholesale deal?
Right.
Then you don't get a deal.
Right.
Your job is to see what the deal is, and if you can do it, do it.
Right.
It doesn't mean you should do things you don't know how to do or completely out of your wheelhouse or your criteria, but like learn how to do one type of deal, then learn how to do another type, and then learn, have 3 or 4 up your sleeve.
Exactly. So the idea is that you cast a net, and if you could buy a house at a deep discount, you're fine. Or if you can buy a house at whatever number the seller's giving you, and they'll let you pick the terms, then you do that. Right? So if I have a choice, I prefer pretty deals. And the reason why is because there's 12 profits in just one deal. And we actually covered those 12 profits a couple weeks ago in episode number 136. And we went over all the 12. Even you were amazed.
I didn't know there were 12.
Yeah. So the reason why I like pretty houses is because, first of all, you don't have all the aggravation. You don't have the contracts. You don't have to chase the money. You don't have to do any of that. It's all built into the deal if you do it correctly. And there's 12 profits. Right. Bottom line, if you want to change your income status, you have to put yourself in a position to do so. Okay? So pretty houses, ugly houses, I don't care. Just pick one. And then move. Do something. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So here we go. We're going to probably go on a Bill rant here because this is how I feel.
This wasn't the rant yet?
No.
Oh, God. So everybody sit down, hold on.
So in today's world of chaos, political travail, economic wonder, and overall uncertainty, do you agree that that describes today's world?
Unfortunately.
We need good leaders. We need good leaders. I'm talking about leaders with good intentions. So I'm going to take 2 minutes on this podcast, and I'm going to just tell you where I'm at with this. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to go over the 11 tips. Okay? So if you look at it close enough, you'll see that human beings love to be in a tribe, or as we call it today, a group. Mm-hmm. Okay? And if you have a tribe, I mean, everybody's got a tribe. You have your family, you have your friends, you have the people you influence, right? Don't you agree?
Absolutely.
And people love to be part of that tribe. They feel comfortable. Friday night when you go out, you go meet your friends at the bar, there's your tribe. Mm-hmm. Right? Sunday night, your kids come over for dinner. I mean, whatever your pleasure is. I know that's one of the things that you and I do. I know you love to have your sons for dinner. Mm-hmm. That's your tribe.
Yep.
Right? Well, tribes need leaders. And because of you, the listener on this podcast, and your interest and your passion for real estate, you owe it to your family and your friends to be a leader on this. It's your responsibility. Point blank. You're the one that has the most amount of passion. Agreed?
Yeah.
So
fortunately or unfortunately, totally true.
Right. So we need you. We need you. You're listening right now. We need you.
But the tribe needs them. That's your point.
We need them. We need them to lead. We need them to figure out what we're talking about and help the tribe. Right? So you need to lead. Without you, what will your family and friends believe in? What will they do? Just flounder out there in the big bad world and get eaten up by the big bad wolf? Right? What are they going to believe in? They need something to believe in. So our stories, you and I, our stories and information that we share with these people on these podcasts, and we've shared a lot of information, right, are so that you could be a leader. That's what we do. We're trying to make you a leader. We want you to have faith. We don't want skepticism. Right? There is no other podcast, Peter. I've looked. I just did it a week ago. There is no other podcast. There is not another podcast, at least in the United States, I think on planet Earth, that have done what we have done. We're on show number 137, and for all intensive purposes, we have talked about the same damn topic for 137 shows. There's no guest speakers. We have not confused you. We have not mixed our message. We have not said, do flipping, do this, do that. We have not given you a new idea every single month. Now, Bigger Pockets is a huge podcast, and I love it because I listen to it. Those guys are fantastic. You should listen to them as well. The difference between us and Bigger Pockets is Bigger Pockets switches their topics. So one week they're talking about Burr. Another week they're talking about apartments. Another week they're talking about, some guy that flipped 100 houses in 12 months. Another week they're talking about mortgages. It could be confusing. It's good information if you're just going to be a dilettante and not be a leader.
Yeah, just listening, that's one thing.
Right.
But for getting clear direction.
Right.
To get something done.
Exactly.
Because you tell me that's how the RIAs are the people go to. Guest speakers, they sell something. Well, that's what happened to you.
Right.
You'd go 1 week, hey, do wholesaling, the 1 month. So you go trying to figure out wholesaling. The next month,
buy stuff for $1,000, come home and absorb it and try to do it, and then
next month,
it doesn't work because I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
I misunderstood words and I misunderstood everything, right? I mean, if I had my way, every listener we had would read this book, The Power of Words by Sean Clouden. Before they listen to a word, they should read that book at least a couple times so they make sure they should read the book, learn what they're doing when they're reading, and then go back and read it after they understand how to read.
Sure.
Because a lot of people read, get to the bottom of a page, and it's blank. They didn't absorb it. And that's for a reason. That's not a mistake. That's for a reason. So how many people listen to us and go blank? How many people read our stuff and go blank?
What'd you say?
Exactly. All right. So we're way into the profound pool, right? So actually, my job or our job, because there's the two of us, is to give you faith. Get you revved up so you understand that what we do is true. Obviously, we've been doing this, 137 shows is over 2 years, right?
Yeah.
We keep talking about the same thing. We keep talking about our deals. We keep talking about our students. It's for real.
Well, one of the reasons that is, one of the biggest parts of education is repetition.
Yeah.
Anything you're trying to learn, you have to do repetitively before you get good at it. If it's pole vaulting, playing the piano, or real estate, or making phone calls, you have to do it more than once.
Right.
Over and over and over. Then
I
you
know
start
in
getting
marketing,
good at
they
it.
don't start seeing your stuff until 6 or 7 times down the road.
Ouch.
So it's got to be that way for education.
Used to be 3 a year.
Yeah.
Takes more to get through nowadays.
So what we do is our intention of this podcast, which we've never noticed, it's 137 shows and I've never talked about this, but the intention of this podcast is to give faith so that you believe, right? And give you something to thrive for, right? And you can actually flourish and prosper. You can actually do it. We've had people do that. Well, I have a guy that started on his podcast. His name was Charles. He became a coaching client. I haven't heard from him in a while, so I sent him a text. As a matter of fact, I'm going to get the text. Hang on one second.
Yeah.
I sent him a text. I hope, Charles, if you're listening, I hope you're not mad because I'm going to read your text.
He drove up from Virginia to one of our workshops, parked in front of the Wallingford hubcap, walked in. Yeah. And how many houses had he purchased? Just listening to
5.
Just listening to the podcasts.
Right. So here he goes. Hey, Bill. Still, he sent this to me yesterday. Hey, Bill. Still going strong. My new role as has me traveling quite a bit. He's got a job. He took a job, but he's like a high power guy. I mean, he makes tons of money, right? I have 8 properties, 4 being multifamily, 1 vacancy. I am now looking at larger 14 to 32 unit properties.
Attaboy.
Because he listened to the podcast. He started here.
Yeah.
He followed my stuff, and that's where he's at.
Yeah. Nice guy. Sharp guy, but he just did it.
So here we go. Let's get this done so we can get to the 11 tips. So leaders have followers. Managers have workers. Leaders make change. Managers make widgets. Managers follow a process they've seen before. Are you with me?
Oh, totally.
They manipulate resources to get a known job done. Managers. So today, I ask you from my heart, from the bottom of my heart, I ask you, start off by following the process we, meaning you and I, have tested and proven. Just follow our process. And I've gone through great pain to make it simple. Watch them, follow them, and if it doesn't work for you, figure out what you didn't understand or did wrong. Don't blame it on me because it's working for us and many others. So it can work for you. If it's not working for you, then you did something wrong. Figure it out. Or call us and we'll help you figure it out. Contact us. flippinghousesforrookies.com/support.
Right. And don't take that personally. I'm a teacher.
Yep.
I can't tell how many times student goes, this is wrong. I said, wait a minute, give me the book. Right. And we straighten it out. I mean, seriously, it's a book. I've seen mistakes in books.
Right.
But if something's wrong, it's usually the student because you're not reading it straight or getting it right. So just get it right.
So now that you've done it a few times, you actually have seen the process. Make sense? And it's time for you to become the leader. So first you're the manager. You're kind of like following the process. So watch the process that works and understand it. You're the manager. You're getting ready to like manipulate your available resources. Right? And now that you've done it a couple times, you can become the leader of the tribe. Right? Get those that have the same passion around you in motion. Yeah? Lead them. They need you to. It's your responsibility. If you're on this podcast and you have this information, it's your responsibility, not theirs. Get them going. Get the passion high. Get the belief system going. Get them to work with you, but guide them. Because they will help. Especially if you're winning. Which is why, which we haven't done yet, but which is why every time we flip a house and we get a big check, we go celebrate. Share some of that money with those people that have put you there. You're a leader. Be a leader. Share the wealth. Take them out for dinner. Take them to Disney. Do this, do that. I don't care.
Cut them a check.
Yeah. Well, some of them don't want that. Right?
No, I had a family member with a real medical problem, so I cut a nice check to help with the bills. And that was better than dinner. Way better. That's what was needed at the time. So, yeah, you'll know what to do.
Yeah.
You'll know what to do.
It's your responsibility. If you're on this podcast and you're getting this information, you need to take responsibility for it. Get off your ass and do it. And how do I know that? Why do we speak like that? Because we've got almost 900,000 downloads on this podcast. We're going for 1 million. 900,000 downloads. And when I go into my website, I don't have that many people buying stuff from me. I don't have that many people on my email list. So I have a lot of you standing on the sidelines watching the game, wondering who's going to win. But you know what? If you don't get off the sidelines and you don't play, you're going to go home after paying your admission ticket, after eating your hot dog and your popcorn, and you're going to talk about what everybody else did. Because you didn't take the responsibility of this information and actually become a leader. You didn't. Rant over.
Mine begins. This wasn't planned, but I haven't even talked to you about this. But I recently had a really intense realization, horrible realization, that when I tell you what it is, you're going to go, yeah, we know that. But I guarantee you're not doing it. Every day you know what you should be doing, like you shouldn't eat that, or you should get more sleep, or you should go get to work earlier one day, or you should make the phone call, or whatever you should do. You should talk to that relative that isn't doing so hot before he gets himself in real trouble. And I'm telling you something. When you don't, something's going to come back and bite your ass. It's going to come back because it's happening to me. It has happened. And I look at it and go, damn. And I'm on this roll now that it doesn't just affect me, it affects everybody around me. So I'm hitting everybody around me to get them to do, I don't care if it's the kid who doesn't practice or the person who drinks too much. I don't care what it is. It's like, you can't do that. Why? Because you're not supposed to. What are you supposed to do? What you're intending, what you want to do. If you want to do this, then do it. Because your life will change for the better or for the worse. And it's all in your ballpark. Yep. And you know that. I know that. But one day, you might get lucky like I did and get hit in the face with about 5 bricks worth of this to know that, oh, God, this is for real. Yeah. What do I do tomorrow to be more of a real person and really do what I'm supposed to do? Because people's lives matter. Yep. I mean, life, death, it really matters.
Here's what I hear you say. If you don't make expansion your number one priority, you're not living.
Yeah, and by
because as soon as you expand, if you have a 2-inch circle and that's your environment, and you decide I want to have a 4-inch circle, you just added 2 inches, right? Well, there's 2 inches of unfamiliar territory that you're not used to. So the first thing that's going to happen is all the confusions, all the barriers, all the problems are going to show up first because it's unfamiliar territory, right?
Yep.
So you have to get through that by just keep putting more and more order in.
And
the expansion will happen.
There's another angle to what I'm saying too. The 6 inches that I've been, or this 10 feet, whatever it is, those people in that, I have not taken care of the way I should, or put my foot down, or insisted, or done what I should do.
Right.
Throw the bum out, Yep. You don't evict the tenant when you should, or not let him stay in. It costs you thousands of dollars to try and be a nice guy.
Yep.
Well, I'm learning the hard way here. But it boils down to do what you really should do. Right. You don't have to be paranoid about it.
Confront it, yep.
Yeah. And it's already in your life. Just do better with it. And insist that people do better with it because they deserve it and you deserve it. And everybody winds up doing better.
Right.
That's my unexpected rant.
Good. So now what we're asking of our sellers today is to find a deal. I don't care if it's ugly, if it's pretty. I don't care. Just find a deal and do that process so you can see it. Whatever deal comes along your plate or your whatever you call it, comes along your universe, grab it and do it and figure out what that process is. Now we have at flippinghousesforrookies.com, we have everything that you need for all of it. Okay? If you go to the top of the page, it says courses. Go on there, and my highest course is $500. Most of them are like $47, $87, $97. They're not a lot of money. So I have multiple people telling me the reason why you aren't doing it, meaning the listener, is because I don't charge enough money. And I'm disagreeing with that. I'm like Henry Ford. Everybody should have a car. So he made cheap cars, not cheap cars, but he made them affordable.
Yeah, affordable.
And I've done that. We've done that. So now's your chance, right? So today we're going to go over we're going to give you the 11 tips, and we're going to go over some really cool stuff on ugly houses, so that you don't get in trouble with any of this stuff. Okay, and even though we've talked about pretty houses a lot, I want to kind of like balance it out a little bit by talking about ugly houses, because we did in the beginning of the podcast, the earlier podcast, we talked about them. So there you go.
Well, actually, that's smart because you don't appreciate the value of the pretty house business and what it is without comparing it to the kind of the opposite,
right? And
the good and the bad of that,
right?
So you can really make a good judgment on it. So
the stuff that we're going to cover, I don't want anybody to think, I'm a disciple of other people teaching me, so I mean, this is not all stuff that I invented. However, there is a lot of stuff that I give you that I have my own experiences on, and I've got my own, like the 7 ways to buy a house is something that I did. Okay. And what I did about that is I've got the loan to value ratio, so you know which one to pick. That's what I added to the pile. Okay.
Yeah, and that's amazing. I thought you got that from someone.
No.
But I'd never seen that anywhere either. Because I've seen, you didn't invent leasing a house,
right,
or taking over a mortgage, but the percentages.
What I did is I put them in order so you know how to use which one when.
Yeah.
Right.
That takes so much confusion out.
Yeah. And to figure that out, just go to flippinghousesforrookies.com/free stuff, and all the videos are there. They're all free. Okay. However, what we're going to talk about today, I learned from Ron LeGrand, so I don't want to take credit away from Ron. These tips come from Ron LeGrand. They're what I learned from him. I've done what I'm telling you to do. I've applied this process, and they work for me, and I've become the leader of my own tribe now, which is people on this podcast. So I don't want to be thinking that I'm going to add my own stuff to it, but I want to make sure that Ron LeGrand gets credit for it. Okay? So number 1, buy houses in areas that qualified buyers want to live in. Okay, now realize that we're going to do ugly houses, which means we need to get in and out in 12 months. So time is of the essence. So why not go where the buyers want to be?
Like a hot market?
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a hot market, but yeah, just go in neighborhoods they want to live in, right? And the best way to do that, I think the best way to figure that out is school systems. Because for me, a lot of houses that we buy and sell are first-time buyers, or something along that line. So we stay in that medium. In our area, it's like that 200 to 250 on the high end. A lot of my houses are 180, 200,000. Only thing that does is that restricts our profits because it's a lower number.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people that we sell to that are, young families and, got 1 or 2 kids. And so they're thinking with things like school systems, and amenities around, like Home Depot and, Lowe's and, I don't know, Walmart, all those kind of places. They want to have some accessibility and convenience to live their life, right? So you don't want to be in the war zones where there's bullets flying around, because that's not good. Unless that's who you're selling to, then that's where you want to be. I mean, if you got a bunch of buyers that want to do that, then that's fine. So that's where you want to be, right? Tip 2, pay close attention to the Mayo formula. So the Mayo formula is maximum allowable offer, which I learned from Ron LeGrand. Like I said, I don't know where he got it from. He says he invented it, but I've heard other stories, so I don't know where it came from, but he taught it to me. So the maximum allowable formula is nothing more or nothing less than an ugly house is ugly when you buy it. So if you try to do a comparable with that, you have to compare it to other ugly houses. But you intend to buy the house, fix it, and then sell it. So when you sell it, it's going to be in a pretty condition.
Right. Different comparable price.
So we call that the after renovated value, which is the ARV. After renovated value. Listen to those words.
After renovated value.
So what is it after?
After it's renovated.
Right. So we need to get the comp of when it's pretty. Right. So the house that we're looking at buying that's ugly, you have to get comparables that are not the same as the house. They're comparables of what the house is going to be like when it's done. So we take that ARV number, the after renovated value, we multiply it by 70%, and we do minus the repairs. Now, I do repairs based on square footage. So I figured out years ago that my average renovation on the East Coast, because we have, and there's no reason why anybody in the country can't use this, because we have the highest cost for renovations. Think about it. I mean, we're the oldest part of the country. I mean, the Pilgrims came to Boston, right? I mean, that's where the country started, was in Boston. The Tea Party, all that kind of stuff. Right? And then it grew from there. So we have the oldest buildings. Like in Meriden, where I buy, Meriden, Connecticut, I mean, my average building there is 75 years old, 80 years old. So
we were in one house in New Britain that it was from 1860 or something. So I thought, geez, Civil War soldiers walked through here. Crap.
Right.
Just crazy.
So those houses tend to be more expensive. They have wider moldings. They have heating systems that are still steam, asbestos, lead paints, all that kind of stuff is part of it. And that all costs money.
Old electric.
Yeah, old knob and tube, exactly.
Knob and tube.
Yeah. So my numbers, I think, work anywhere, but we use $25 a square foot as an average. Now, $25 for repairs. So we take $25 an hour, multiply it by the square feet, and that puts us in a ballpark. Yeah,
I said $25 an hour. $25 per square foot.
Yes, I did say that. I'm sorry, yeah. So $25 per square foot. Okay? Sorry about that. So that what the $25 covers is it covers paint and carpet. It covers remove and replace the kitchen, remove and replace the bathroom, all that kind of stuff. It's all that stuff. Okay. Now, when I give you that number is renovations. There's a difference between a renovation and a remodel. And I'm doing this quick just at this point so people understand. We've done podcasts on this. A renovation is remove and replace. A remodel is remodel.
Well, you're moving walls then.
Yeah, you're moving walls. The difference between the two is usually when you're doing a remodel, you have the trades involved. You got to pull permits, electrical, plumbing, construction, because you're moving bearing walls and putting up beams, and you're moving the floor plan or the layout of the house. Okay, so when you do that, that's a remodel. Those numbers are different. They're much different. They're double usually.
Yeah, okay? We recommend not doing that if you don't have to, just to sell a house.
Especially your first one.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I've had students that put additions on and all that kind of stuff, and that's good, but that's because they like doing rehabs. They like dealing with that stuff. They like the creativity of taking that house and transforming it, which is fine. I promise you do that 4 or 5 times, and you're not going to love it as much anymore. I mean, you're going through that now, so...
Yeah, I don't get crazy though. I just like to take whatever's there and just make it look right. So somebody's like happy to buy it and not like it looks gross and walks out the door. That's all I'm going for.
So to adjust the $25 per square foot, if it doesn't need a bathroom, if it doesn't need a kitchen, then you can. So I've gone as low as $10 per square foot, where it just needs some landscaping and a cleaning, to $15 a square foot where it's landscaping, cleaning, some paint, maybe a carpet in a room or two. To as high as $35 to $40 a square foot, where I'm like doing a kitchen, I'm doing a bathroom, I'm taking carpets out and putting in hardwood floors. I got to redo a chimney or
furnace.
I got to do a furnace, or it needs a roof. I mean, roofs here, they start at $6,000 or $7,000. Average roof is $10,000. Which is expensive, but that's what it is. It depends on what time of the year. Because roofers only work about 7 months out of the year, here 8 months out of the year. Okay, so when I talk repairs, what I've just given you is a seminar on how to do repairs in about 5 minutes. Okay, so the Mayo formula is ARV times 70% minus repairs. Now pay attention to the words, like I always do. It's maximum allowable offer. Okay, I'll have you know that we use the same formula for cash deals. So if somebody wants cash, we use the same exact formula. This is not just for retail rehab. It's for cash. So if I have a pretty house and they want cash, I use this same formula. If it doesn't have repairs, I just don't minus repairs.
Right, because that 30% is your profit minus whatever other expenses you're going to have. Holding costs is taxes, oil, whatever else happens. But that's where your profit is, so you need to build that in to the deal. Oh,
you mean like the check that I got to put in the mail today for the electric bill on the house that I've owned for way too long, which we're going to talk about today, for $470?
No, I mean the loan I have to pay for the condo, the electricity, the gas, and I got the insurance bill for the year coming up.
There you go.
And I just paid the taxes.
So there you go.
And I threw the tenant out.
So no income coming in.
Yep.
So what I'm telling you is do not violate the Mayo formula. If you do that, it will cost you money. Point blank. I mean, Ron LeGrand, last time I knew, did 3,000 houses. He's probably more now. The man's, I believe, 80 years old at this point, or damn close. Maybe not. He's up there, though. I mean, come on. Use his wisdom. He made this formula, and for a reason.
Well, if you don't use the formula, you're gonna have to sit there and just do a lot of math and guessing. And if we spend this much and we pay that much and we cost that much and we spend how much but there's already a formula. Just use it.
All right, good. Tip number 3: never close on your purchase without confirming your assumptions, which are after repair value, repair estimates. Okay. Now, I don't drag my guys through houses to do repair estimates until I have a contract, until I get ready. So what we do is we do a scope of work, and if you go on to flippinghousesforrookies.com, I think for under $100 you can buy our course on how to do a scope of work. Okay, just go to flippinghousesforrookies.com, go to the top right, it says courses, and there's one there, and you and I actually make a scope of work in a house.
Yeah. It's
it
a
was
video,
one of the
the whole
houses.
thing.
Yeah, so we had Emma video us, and we walked around the house, and we actually put the scope of work together. It's on a spreadsheet, and when you do that, and you put a scope of work together, now everybody's on the same page, and when you start getting your estimates and your numbers, it's a lot easier. Okay, so go spend I don't even know how much it's less than $100. I know that. Okay, so do your due diligence. get the purchase, you get your appraisals done, do whatever you got to do, right? Buy title insurance. For a long time I didn't do that, but buy title insurance so you don't get in trouble later on, right? And do your termite inspections, do whatever you feel like you need to do. I don't do all that because I've done so many houses that I don't have trouble with it. But the worst case scenario is something sneaks up on you. So just go do your due diligence, right? Get qualified contractors, make sure they're insured. That's a big thing with contractors, is if they're insured. And I'll tell you how you can tell the difference between a good contractor and a bad contractor. There's one question you can ask them to tell you whether or not they're good or they're bad. Mm-hmm. And I've never said this before.
That's why I'm listening. See, look at me. You didn't tell me this one. Go ahead.
Here's the question. Do you have workman's comp? And if they say yes, say, can you show me a certificate? And if they have workman's comp, then the likelihood of that guy running a real business is good. He's going to have the right mindset. If they don't have workman's comp, then they're just hiring guys down at Home Depot looking for a job at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Sure, and if there's a problem, it becomes yours.
Yeah. Okay.
And what about the insurance? You just asking for their insurance?
When you hire them, the documents we use, there's an affidavit saying that they have regular insurance. So if something happens to the house, they cut something and it burns the house down. You
don't have to see anything from them. It's just that
they... I ask for insurance when I hire them, but I don't do that. What I'm talking about is when you're doing your due diligence to find a contractor, the number one question you should ask is do you have workman's comp? Mm-hmm. And that'll tell you what kind of a business he has. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Tip number 4, which really to me is tip number 1, but always borrow more money than you need. Because you're always going to have repair problems. The job will always cost you more. Now, my formula that I'm telling you about always comes within $2,000. The $25 a square foot, $10, $15, $20, whatever the number is. Yep. But 25 is the most common one. And when I do $25 a square foot, it always comes within $2,000. Okay? But you have to decide that it's $25 a square foot, and that's where the error might happen. Because it may be a $30 a square foot renovation.
Sure.
Right? So the evaluation of is it 20, 25, or 30 is where if you think there's a problem and you think it should be 20 and you're not sure, then bump it up to 25. If it's 25, bump it up to 30. Beware, though. If you bump the repairs too high, your offer will go lower. And you'll buy less houses. Mm-hmm. So there's a fine line there. Don't let your fear overcome the deal. So just get some due diligence, right? So you have to have cash reserves. So make sure you got a little extra money. Even if you're broke and you're bankrupt, and like Ron says, you have bad breath, right? Just borrow more money. Because what's the worst that can happen is you don't use the money and you pay it back.
Well, if you don't use it, that's your profit that you get to keep or pay back.
Or just pay it back.
When you sell the house, it's just math.
I mean, if you didn't spend it, if you need $25,000 and you borrow 30 or 35 and you only spend 20 and you got an extra $15,000, when you go to close, like you said, if you need the money, you can always pay it back. Mm-hmm. If not, you keep it as a profit. Mm-hmm. Okay, which I do. When I'm buying ugly houses, I have a profit when I buy the house, and I have a profit when I sell the house. I take some of my money up front, but I buy them right, so my lender doesn't have to worry about being in too deep. Mm-hmm. Right. Tip number 5: keep a tight leash on the contractors. I think we've talked about that quite a bit. All right. This is where I get in trouble, and I have to fix that, and which is causing me not to be in the renovation business right now because I'm having trouble keeping a tight leash on the contractors, right? So they'll play you like a yo-yo, right? Agreed?
Oh, yeah. Good. On my way in today, once again, I had this thought in my head that beside the contracts you have, I'm going to write a code of conduct agreement between the property owner and the contractors. Like, I promise, if you need me, I will answer the phone within 12 to 24 hours. Right. I need you to call me back within 12 to 24 hours. If you don't, it's strike one. You do that 3 times, I can't work with you. Just stuff like that. It's just common sense that they won't do. They won't answer the phone. Right. That's the frustrating part. Like, just answer me, but they don't want to answer because it's bad news, and they can't. So they just hope you go away.
It's confront, yeah.
Just have this like conduct agreement.
So
Just
I will
courtesy.
tell you, this is the most expensive school to go to, the School of Hard Knocks. And this is where your education will either excel you or hold you down. Because knowing how to deal with these dudes is the hardest part of renovating. Right? So if you graduate from the top of the School of Hard Knocks, you've done good. If you don't, then you'll be one of those ones out there saying that flipping doesn't work. And this is what I was talking about before, because you didn't spend the time to educate yourself. You didn't go buy our scope of work course and watch it. Or you didn't go watch our renovation course, because we have a renovation course which you can go watch, which, by the way, that's the most amazing thing. I've never seen one of those either. We did that on a whim because I had a few coaching clients that wanted it. So I bought a house. I closed on it like on a Friday. I wouldn't let anybody in the house. I kept the keys in my pocket. A week later, which was a Saturday, not the Saturday after, but the Saturday after.
8 days later, Saturday, we walk in.
8 days later, that's exactly right. We walk in, and the house is exactly the way I bought it. Still had furniture in it, still had food in the refrigerator. I mean, it was still
crap on the floor.
It was just the way I bought it. It was
bags,
a probate
boxes.
House. And we went through the scope of work in 3 hours. And Emma recorded the whole thing and then edited it all, did a wonderful job. I hired the contractor because I had done that the week before. I hired the contractor, and on Monday he started. By the time we got to Saturday, the next Saturday, the contractor had done his work, so we met in the house. The group met in the house on Saturday, and we went over what the contractor did, and we went over every single point on the scope of work. The contractor came in the following week, Monday through Friday, worked. We met on Saturday. We did this for 4 or 5 Saturdays, and we actually went through the whole house. And at the end, I threw in a bonus. I actually had the realtor come, and we listed the house, and I showed you how I did it. So who's doing that? I mean, A&E does it, but not the real way. This is the real way. We had problems with the contractor. We had deadline dates. We had problems with the cabinets, and it's all on film. It's all real. Yeah. It's for real. And you find that
it wasn't just drama. Oh, gee, you know what? We have to hurry up because our budget's getting tight, and I don't know. That's all drama.
Yeah.
Our
so this is the real deal.
Yeah.
So you can
real
go watch
drama.
that. Yeah, it's the
not
real
fake
deal.
TV things. Oh, well,
so
we make
find
our
that
budget.
At flippinghouses4rookies.com. Just go there, and it's all there. I mean, it's a lot of content, but it's for real. If you want to do flipping, you should go watch that. The scope of work and the renovation course, and you'll be fully hatted. Now, where are you going to go for a few $100s and learn that? You know, you go to seminars and you spend $4,000 or $5,000 to go to a seminar, and they don't walk you through the house and talk to the contractor in front of you. They don't do that, and we did. Okay, so. Good. Number 6, don't tie up your cash. I have a lot of problem with some coaching clients because they have cash. So
like their own cash. Yeah,
tying up your cash, tying it up is a good way. So you tie up your cash. I have a coaching client that just did this now. I mean, he just did this. He bought a house without he didn't really tell me what he was doing, and he bought the house. He thought he learned enough. Now he's got a chunk of dough in the house, and guess what happens when that happens?
You can't do another deal?
Nope.
What happens? You
become the motivated seller. You become the motivated seller because you're starving for the cash.
Huh.
So where you're looking for motivated sellers, you now become one.
That's funny.
Because you use your own cash. Okay, and that's where he's at right now. He's a motivated seller now. He's desperate. Right? Tip number 7. You talked about this before. Do a nice renovation job, and you do a better job at it than I do because you pay more attention to detail. You spend more time there, but you do one house and I do 3. So there's a difference. So I don't know which school of thought is better, but
probably the one around 2.
Here we sit, and both of us have sold our houses. So we don't have any of those houses now. So.
Yeah, I'm still learning. I have to get the process better. I mean, I think I've learned some things from you. Like when you're picking a contractor, you can find some cheap contractors, but they take too long because that's why they're cheap, because half of them have problems. They don't show up. Now, there's a guy that's really, really good, and I have people tell me, "Oh, I got this contractor. He's renovating my house. He's really, really, really good." I said, "I can't afford him." What do you mean? He's probably out of my league because then the money, they're really good, but they're just too expensive.
And we talked about it when we hired that contractor. It was we can pay him a lesser price, but then we're going to pay it in holding costs.
Yeah.
So we didn't get away cheaper.
No, it isn't really cheaper.
It's just from one hand to the other. Pay Peter or pay Paul.
Yeah, and then it takes longer and it's aggravating. So there's a guy in the middle, right?
Right.
He's not too much. He's not too little. He's a decent guy, and he shows up. He does the work, and it works out better, I think. Right. Just ballparking it. Go for the middle. Right. If you have to ballpark.
Good. So
generally, but that's not be specific.
Number 8. Mm-hmm. Let's move on because we're kind of running out of time here. So find a good loan processor, right? Or a mortgage broker, because your buyer is going to need to get financed.
That's the part that puzzles me. I thought they do that on their own with the realtor and all that. So how does it come from our end?
We just,
I haven't done that. You do that when we have the houses.
Yeah. So what you do is just make sure that when the buyer comes along, you offer them financing. I mean, if you use a realtor, they already have pre-qualification letters, but you just offer them, right? The difference between success and failure is whether or not they can get the money.
So if they might have their own deal going with a pre-qualification mortgage, but if it doesn't work out, you have your own guys available, right, at least?
I mean, think of it this way. Your buyer has your paycheck in his pocket, right? So you want to smoothen it as much as you can to get your paycheck.
Yeah, and I'm more proactive than just waiting, hoping things work out. So yeah, if we can offer our own good mortgage person, yeah.
So if you can have a mortgage broker or somebody that you work with before and know the process and explain it to them, then you're better off to do that. Mm-hmm. Okay?
Right.
Number 9. So this is one that I need help with because I'm struggling with the last 3 houses I bought because of this. Right? Is master the art of selling a house fast as humanly possible. Right? Slow selling is the biggest weakness or the biggest disease in most deals. Yet it's the easiest to fix, which I'm doing right now.
What do you recommend?
You sell the house fast. You sell the house in a way that most buyers want. I mean, if you go back to number 1, find houses where buyers want to buy.
Oh, right.
Right. That's number 1.
Right. Is we also follow advice from around the Grand where, when you do the renovation, the final price of the house should be below the median of that area.
Market value.
Like for that area, like in my town, houses sell for like 206, 207.
Right.
So if we can finish the house and get it at 190 or 200,000, people looking for houses go, oh, look, that's a little bit less than average.
Right.
That's the point, right?
Yeah. So that's a good thing, because what you need to realize at the end of the day, and it took me 15 years to figure this out, what you need to realize at the end of the day is when you're selling ugly houses, when you're buying, fixing, doing rehab retail, you're buying, fixing, and flipping. It's all about the house. You're selling the house. So the house needs to be perfect, or needs to wow you. And what you just said that Ron LeGrand talks about is if you're below market value just a bit, it's enticing. But being below market value gets the attention of the buyer, and then they get wowed. So being below market value gets people there to look at the house, and then the house wows them, and they go. Okay. When we talk about flipping pretty houses, we're not selling a house.
Right.
We're selling the financing.
Right. That's the main feature.
Yeah.
I just understood that recently. That you keep saying, so the financing is so good because they can't buy a house. These are people that can't.
So they tend to turn their cheek on whether or not the countertop is granite.
Yeah.
Or if there's a ripped screen, or if the basement feels damp.
Well, Bill, you sell the houses completely unrenovated to these folks,
right,
and they as like handyman specials,
right,
and they're appreciative, and they can do their own.
So
you like those TV shows? You get to do it now yourself.
Yeah. So now what happens is you just need to decide what school of thought you're in, but just make sure that there's a chasm between the two. I mean, when you walk across the bridge from one to the other, there's a different style. So when you're selling a pretty house, you're selling it with no bank qualifying, owner financing, credit not a problem. All you need is a deposit and the ability to be able to pay the monthly payment. So I do 3 times whatever the rent is. So if it's $1,500, you need to make $4,500 a month, and you need, on a $200,000 house, you need $8 or $10,000 down, or more. I
just heard that ratio also from a lawyer that deals with like housing and all that. They use a 3-to-1. Yeah.
I just got that from the car business.
It's apparently it's a thing too. Right. So I just heard that recently. So I remember you saying that's like, oh, it's a real thing. So you're right.
So just realize that when you're doing ugly houses, you're selling the house. You're not selling the financing. Mm-hmm. And when you're doing pretty houses, you're not selling the house. You're selling the financing.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Okay. So that's to me, when I say master selling, that's what you got to know that first. Mm-hmm. I mean, honest to God, we're 55 minutes into the show, and we should have started with that, because what I just told you is probably the most important part of this podcast. It's probably the most important part of the last 5 podcasts you listen to.
Well, how to get out of something is more important than how to get in something.
If you have an exit strategy when you're buying, it makes it a lot easier.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Now, the important thing that you need to realize, which is why you should go listen to the episode I told you, what was it,
136?
136, I think it was. Let me look back here. 136, where we talk about the 12 ways to make profits on one house. Mm-hmm. The interesting thing is, which we cover in that episode.
And the pretty houses.
Yeah. Is when you're selling financing, you can get a 5 or 10% premium.
Mm-hmm. On the price of the house.
Right. So a house is $200,000, you can sell for $220,000. Mm-hmm. And think nothing of it. And people are glad to pay that. Mm-hmm. They throw the money at you because you're giving them finances. You're giving them time to pay.
Yeah.
Now, think of it this way. Who else is going to be able to sell the house for $20,000 more than what it's worth and have a line of people wanting to get in it? Mm. So what do you do with that? What do you do with that philosophy? Well, because your buyer's paying a premium, you can now pass it on to your seller. So you can pay more for the house with your seller. Mm-hmm. So who else is doing that?
And you have to know that as your exit strategy to get your entry.
To be able to make your offer. So if you have that exit strategy and you understand it, and that's what you're going to do, and you're going to get financing from your seller so you can pass it on to your buyer, then you can offer them more money.
Right.
Because if you're buying something on time, it's always going to be more expensive because you got to pay for the time. Mm-hmm. As if you were to pay for cash. What's the saying? A bird now is worth 2 in the bush.
Bird in the hand, 2 in the bush.
Yeah. Right.
3 in the meadow and 4 on the other side of the mountain.
I heard that part. Come on.
Well.
All right. So mastering the art of selling is definitely important because you need to have your exit strategy. But more importantly, what I'm trying to get across right now is understand which strategy you want to use. So if you're going to get a subject to deal or a lease option deal or a slot deal or any one of those that you can get the chance to pay your seller payments and all the expenses and maintain the house until you can get them paid off, is a scenario that works because now you can pay a premium price for the house because your buyer is going to do that. But if they want a deep discount and you need all cash, then you go from being able to sell financing to selling a house. Mm-hmm. So now you have to renovate it. You have to paint it. You have to make it smell pretty. You have to appeal to the buyer with fancy shit. Mm-hmm. Right? And that's just the way it is. Mm-hmm. Okay? All right. Number 10. And I'm speaking to you.
The listener.
I'm speaking to you. So turn up the volume right now because I need to get this message to you. Are you ready? Don't do the work yourself. Peter. Don't do the work yourself. If you do, you're working as a laborer, not as an investor. Make sense? Mm-hmm. You make more money locating and buying good leads than swinging a paintbrush. If you adhere to what we're talking about here, these tips, then it won't be a problem. If you apply the Mayo formula and you do the stuff that we've talked about for 136 podcasts, or 137 podcasts, because this is 138, then you'll know this by now. Don't do $10 an hour shit. I mean, we did that in our time management podcast. If you want to make $200,000 an hour, $200,000 a year, break it down to 1,970 hours. That's what you work at, 40 hours a week for 50 weeks, because you take 2 weeks vacation, right? So 2,000 hours, divide it, right? 200,000 divided by 2,000 is how much?
100.
It's 50, right?
50. Say it again.
Oh, yeah, 100. Yeah, 100. So you're worth $100 an hour, right? So you're paying your lawyer 120. 300. All right.
Ouch.
So it won't be a problem if you borrow enough money. If you buy the house at the right number and you borrow enough money, it won't be a problem. So,
and hire the right contractor.
Yeah. So the guy that's doing the work himself didn't do the real work he needed to do, which was get educated so he can learn the numbers and actually make the offer correctly. So now what's happening is he screwed up, bought the house for too much money, and now he's in there giving up his time to get even because he thinks time is free. But if he actually spent some money on his education and actually learned the formulas and actually spent some time learning how to make offers and the things we talk about, which, by the way, another good tip. So when you're buying ugly houses, do you need to know all the lines and all the way to talk to people the way we do?
To which people?
If you're buying an ugly house,
yeah,
do you need to know all of the ways to handle people in a house? In other words, we talk about what to say to sellers, right? How to do a presentation and the magic words.
Buying ugly houses. Oh no.
Right.
Oh no.
Right.
You don't get to talk to anybody in those. It's just house and dollar amount.
Right. So if you're going to do ugly houses, you don't need to listen to all these podcasts where we're talking about, say this and do that and do this presentation. And, you don't need all this math that we're talking about. The only thing you need to know is the Mayo formula and the repair formula that I just taught you. And that's it. And just go have at it. And then know how to talk to your lender so that he'll give you the money.
Right.
Because you're selling the lender. That's the only person you have to sell. But if you're going to do pretty houses, now who are you going to sell? The lender. Who's the lender? The
owner.
Seller.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So in both cases, the only one you're selling is the lender. In one case, when you're buying an ugly house, is you're selling the lender on, I'm buying for a deep enough discount. Don't you agree? So even if I screw up, you can still go sell the house and make money. Right?
Yeah.
When you're buying a pretty house, you're selling the lender on, I'm going to make payments. I am going to do the maintenance. And you don't have to worry.
And that's the owner of the house.
Yeah.
Interesting.
In both cases, you're selling the lender. It's just in pretty houses, the lender is going to be your seller, and the other one is going to be a private money guy or a hard money guy or something like that.
So I guess you always have to convince the guy with money that he should give you some.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. The point is if you understand that, you can borrow enough money that you can pay the contractors. You don't have to do the work yourself.
Right.
Okay. And then the last one, number 11, just get trained on this craft. The more training you do, and the more we train, obviously, it's not what I was planning on doing, but by virtue of the podcast, that's what we do. That's what our website does. That's what all this other stuff does, right? Just go get, and when I mean training, listen to what other people like me do. And then go get more information.
Yes, well, study from successful people.
Right.
Guys that are actually doing it.
So observe. When I mean training, here's what I mean. I'm going to define training. Are you ready?
Yes.
This is a very clear, specific definition of training. Observe the process that worked. That's my definition of training. Observe the process that worked.
Worked in the past. Worked.
Yeah.
Good.
In other words, it gave the result that you're trying to get.
That's good. I've seen definitions, explanations. That's good. 3 words. That's good.
Yeah. So just observe the process that worked. And I'm telling you, we do it today. I mean, you've been around me a long time. I turn it up, I turn it down. My wife had cancer last year, and for 6 months, I was distraught. I turned it down. In October, I turned it back up. November, I turned it back up, and here I am. And how long did it take me to get going again?
Not long.
Wasn't very long.
No, well, the thing with the pretty houses, it's quick.
Right.
I mean, the renovation could take 6 months to a year.
Right.
But by you find it, you buy it, you close, you find a contract, you get them in, all this stuff, wait. So the nice thing about the pretty houses is it can be a 36, 60 day in and out.
Right. So to end the show, the definition of training is to observe the process that worked. So if you watch a guy or listen to guys like you and I that have evidence, they've demonstrated there's evidence that the process worked, and you did it and it didn't, you need to look at what you did wrong. Thus, you talk about coaching, you talk about talking to somebody to unbug what you did wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you do that, it pops for you. It doesn't have to be a long process. It's how much time are you going to put in to observe the process that worked? Or how much time are you going to put in to make sure that the process that it did work? How much belief do you need that it worked? You know, what's going to trigger you to believe that it worked? Is it testimonials? Is it going to be a demonstration of the courses? I'll give you one. I'll give you a classic example. So how to buy real estate without a loan was actually a hat write-up for my employees. It's how I train my acquisition manager to buy pretty houses. Okay, it's $500. That's ridiculous. If I put a guy on the road, which we're talking about doing, one of my coaching clients is off sailing right now. When he gets done, we're talking about him going on the road. If we do, I'm going to sell that for $1,000, and they're going to have to split it with the RIA, so you're going to have to pay $1,997 in a RIA to get that same course. Right now, the only reason why I'm doing it is because it's online. We already spent the money, and we're flying under the radar. It doesn't cost me money to sell. I don't have to pay a commission for the guy that sold it. I don't have to pay the RIA. I don't have to do none of that stuff.
Buy direct.
Buy directly from me, right? If you go on to flippinghousesforrookies.com and click on courses, there's a course in there called Deal Hunting. How much is it, Emma? $27? $37? $17.
Bill,
I did a special for $17. Now,
Bill,
wait a minute.
That's not enough.
Yeah, I think it's $27 or $37, and we sold it for like $17 at one of the meetups, right? Now, watch this, Peter. That course is 1/4. It's the first quarter, the first segment of the How to Buy Real Estate Without a Loan.
That's how to find deals. That's priceless.
What the F are you doing?
Bill, it's not enough money.
Exactly right.
I'm serious. Like,
I don't have respect.
No.
I don't get respect. So I go through that course, How to Find Motivated Sellers. I go on Google. I show you exactly how at 3 o'clock on Tuesday afternoon, by 6 o'clock, you can have a prospect. You can have a prospect and be in somebody's by the next day, make an appointment and go in their house. What the hell else do you want? You want me to go do the deal for you and just mail you a check?
Well, it can't be that good if it's only $17.
Exactly. Which is why we're revamping shit now. Right?
I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, we have information. I have 3 books written. We just published one of them, and we're getting ready to, start selling it. I have 3 books written, and I have 5 more ready to go that I have to proofread and get into book format. Right? On things on like how to find money when you buy real estate. How do I know I'm not overpaying for a property? These are the names of my books. Yeah. 15 ways. The one that I just published is 15 ways to avoid dysfunctional deals so you don't lose money. Right?
That's worth, any one of those things is worth thousands of dollars in profit or $1,000 in not lost money.
Right.
Not losing stupidly money.
So I'm going to rant about the whole thing, but the point is that get trained. So I'm telling you, you don't have to go buy all this expensive stuff. You just need to decide to do something. You need to be a leader. You need to take charge and pay attention to the process that already works for us. I've got plenty of evidence. I've got hundreds of testimonials. We just had to build a testimonial page because I got so many of them we can't keep track of them. So we're in the process of, which, by the way, if you go to flippinghousesforrookies.com/testimonials, you could, we bought a tool that you can go on that page and just click a button and make a testimonial right there with your phone, and it shows up on the page. So if you're listening to this podcast and you love this podcast, just go to flippinghousesforrookies.com/testimonial or testimonials. You can make it either way because we both work. And just scroll down and or there's a button there that says leave a testimonial, and you can either write one, you can do an audio, or you can do a video. Right?
Yeah.
And just leave a testimonial. We have literally, I don't even know how many. There's so many of them. We probably have 40 or 50 of them just from the meetup, from the live meetups. I don't know how many we have from the seminars we've done. And then forget about the podcast, written ones. They're all in emails. I don't even know how to find them all because they're like, I've been saving them, but there's, so how much demonstration do you need to know that my process works?
Checks.
Yeah. You need a shut up check. Yeah. You need to do a deal, get a check, and shut up everybody around.
Bill, I'm telling you, we got to put a bulletin board up there and put all the copies of the checks, me, students, and just fill it. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
It'd be prettier. That's kind of a blank wall behind you. How about a bunch of checks back there?
Exactly.
Now, I have a process question for you. You made me think of something. Would you say, we talk about like observe the processes that work, right? Mm-hmm. Would you say that a person should find a process that works for them, or the person should make the process work for them?
No, they should, at first, because the definition of a manager, let's go back. So at first, we say leaders make change, managers make widgets, right? Managers follow a process they've seen before. Mm-hmm. So what I'm saying is be a manager first, follow the process that they've seen before, which is a process. Go find some other guru, I don't care. But you're going to pay a lot more money somewhere else. For the deal hunting course, I guarantee you that Ron LeGrand would sell that for hundreds of dollars.
Oh, just the first part.
He would sell my How to Buy Real Estate for $2,000.
Yeah.
He would think nothing of it to sell for $1,997.
Sure.
Difference is he's been around a long time. He's got a big tribe, and people come and buy. Mm-hmm. I'm just a guy that flips houses, sharing information. I mean, I don't necessarily want to be a guru. I want people to know who I am, and I want to help them. I don't mind being big, but I don't want to be a guy on stage and be like the movie star.
Well,
I want success stories.
What's ridiculous to me is the reason I came to see you, because I was at a weekend seminar, and it was fabulous for $300, but I knew the next thing would be a lot.
Right.
And it was $17,000.
Right.
So you have a course, your $500 course we put together, How to Buy Real Estate Without a Loan, works better than everything that those guys got, because I know those guys, and they came back and they didn't buy a house. Right. It's crazy.
We have testimonials. I mean, we had Randy on the show not too long ago.
Yeah.
Right? One of my best students.
Mm-hmm. That's me beeping.
I think she's already done $250,000 in 10 months.
Mm-hmm. Is it 4 or 5 houses now?
I think it was 3 or 4.
On the first 3 or 4?
Well, the other ones I didn't even count.
Yeah.
She bought more. I haven't counted them.
Yeah.
And I just had a long conversation with her husband this week, and he's nervous about what they're doing because he feels like, because he heard me talk about it, he feels like the market is their talent. It's not their talent that's the talent.
Yeah.
So he's flipping houses in a good economy. Mm-hmm. So he's wondering how much of it is the market and how much of it is us. He does a real good job of running the contractors and getting money, but that's it. Mm-hmm. Right? So how much of the market is making them successful as opposed to their education? The market flips, because it's going to do that. The market flips. What do you do now? All of a sudden that model doesn't work. You got to reinvent yourself. How long does that take?
Yeah.
Buying pretty houses, it happens all the time. Good markets, bad markets.
Yeah, I had the conversation with him too a couple of months back. And, the thing is, they have the data, so if they need, they can just switch to that. Yep. So they're safe, but they're on a roll with the flips.
Yep. Well, they got a pile of money, but that only lasts so long. Mm-hmm. All right, that's it. We're 15 minutes over. As usual, that's our new habit lately. So, again, if you have any questions about our podcast, go to flippinghousesforrookies.com/support. Also, if you go to flippinghousesforrookies.com, if you scroll down, we also have another podcast called Flipping Houses Startup Bootcamp, which is actually a checklist. If you want to get into this business, you can go through it step by step. Emma and I have decided, mostly me, have decided that what we're going to do with that podcast, we haven't talked to you about this, but we're actually going to make a workbook. I'm going to make a workbook so that you can actually buy the workbook and go through the podcast and do the steps.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
I was thinking about doing that with the book Think and Grow Rich.
Right.
But I found one in the store. They already did it.
Yeah, they already did it, yeah.
So I bought it.
Yeah.
But that's a great idea because a workbook, that's a great idea.
So if you go to flippinghousesforrookies.com, what I'm trying to say is they're both podcasts are on that page. I would like for you to go there and give us a review. Underneath each podcast, it says click here to give us a review. So please go give us a review because we need more reviews because that's how people find us. Okay? So with that, we're over and out.
Thanks for tuning in to the hottest real estate topics on the planet with Bill and Pete. If you want to continue learning how to buy and sell real estate without money or credit, head over to flippinghouses.club for some cutting-edge real estate wealth tools. Or contact us at info@flippinghouses.club.